Do you ever sit and work and wonder, what am I doing here? With that feeling like, is this it? Is this it from now until retirement? I recently read a research report that stated that up to 71% of us are disengaged in the workplace. In other words, that's 71% of us have that feeling. Is this it? Is this all there is? Now, it would be an easy question to answer. Why do so many people hate their jobs? Because we could all come up with lists the length of our arms about how we hate our bosses and we're not paid enough and we're fed up with being slaves. But perhaps a more interesting question is, what is it that brings about true career contentment? Imagine getting there to a place where we were all more content at our work. Imagine how stress-related illnesses would drop, absenteeism would fall, productivity would rise, and generally would just be happier. Imagine getting there. Now, TEDx is, as we know, about ideas worth spreading. So I think in order for you to get to know me just a little bit better, I'll share with you a couple of ideas that I had in the past. The first one I had was in 1998. And I had this crazy idea that life is for doing work that we enjoy. So I decided that I would leave university, the business administration degree that I was doing, and I would pursue a career sailing yachts professionally and getting paid to travel all over the world. Now, many people thought this was a crazy idea, a ludicrous idea to leave university. And I can promise you, my family definitely did not think that that was an idea worth spreading. The second idea was a good few years after that. And you see, that first idea had gone really well. In fact, it had gone very well. I'd been sailing professionally and working on yachts for about 10 years. I had worked for some amazing youth development organizations. And I'd also worked for some of the most successful self-made billionaires on the planet. And I might come back to that in just a minute. Facilitating trips like diving with hammerhead sharks in the Galapagos Islands, spotting polar bears in the Norwegian Arctic. Truly amazing times, which I am so grateful, and I actually get a bit emotional to think about those times. But there was a problem. After 10 years, I had grown deeply discontent. But how could I be? I had this job that everybody was literally telling me, you are living the dream. I was getting paid to travel, and I mean, I was rubbing shoulders with some of the most famous people and definitely the richest people on the planet. It was almost like big Mr. Society was looking down on me, shouting, how dare you? How dare you be unhappy? You have a career that people only dream of. Get on with it. So I did get on with it for a while. I think we can all recognize people who have perhaps enviable lifestyles or all the trappings of so-called success, but yet, are they happy? Many are deeply, deeply discontent. So, what did I do? For want of a better expression, I hit the self-destruct button in spectacular style. Many stories for another day, I can promise you. I set about then, through sheer confusion, to figure out, what is this about? What is this about? What is it that I really want if this is not it? And more importantly, what is it for all of us that can bring about true career contentment? So I attended seminars and workshops and spiritual retreats and read books, you name it. And I spoke to many, many people. I spoke to many people who hate their jobs. That fact, that 71%, that is a big, big problem. the repercussions of that for relationships, for home life, etc., are massive. So I'm now on a mission. I'm on a mission to help as many people as possible to find career contentment and to build careers that really matter to them. So I've got a couple of ideas today for you, and these are based mainly around my own experience and also speaking to lots of people along the way. This is George. He's seeking something. But what is it? So what is career contentment? I believe that career contentment is that it's kind of a deep-seated feeling inside. It's a warm feeling that we're on the right course, even whenever there's work and blood and sweat and tears, and let's face it, work will be hard. We still feel like we're steering the right course. So the first point that I believe is critical, it's about our mindset. It's about the choices that we make and how we lead ourselves on a daily basis. So this is really about our own personal leadership. Now, when my personal leadership was at an all-time low, and I mean terrible, when I was drinking loads and I was blaming everybody outside of myself, my mother summed this up best when she said, "You are your own worst enemy." So that really summed it up for me. So this is about taking responsibility. Taking responsibility and really making those changes, whatever they may be. The second point is really about what is it that we truly want? See, that may sound obvious, but many of us don't have the first clue about what we want. So this is about exploring. It's about exploring what matters to us. What are our core values, our beliefs, our needs, and how do we actually want to be living on a daily basis? And this was like a light bulb moment for me when I realized my career was sailing off in one direction, quite literally. But my core personal ethos had changed, and it was sailing off in the other direction. And I had to bring them back in line before it was too late. The third point, sorry, that's personal ethos, I forgot to put that up. Carried away. The third point I became really interested in throughout the course of my career through putting together teams to sail across oceans with true life or death goals on the table. So this third point is about the relationship between leaders and their team. And I think the important point here is it's a two-way relationship. The fact is, and I got to use a few nautical metaphors, the fact is that if we don't lead effectively on board ship, that ship will sink. Any ship with ineffective leadership will sink. It's not called leadership for nothing. The other thing that I became hugely fascinated by was how the self-made billionaires that I worked for, how do they lead themselves? And how do they lead those around them? Do you ever wonder, what is it that hugely successful leaders do that we don't do? Well, today I'll share with you just a quick story. Time's marching on, but just a quick story from my experience of that. And it was a few years ago. I was navigating a 53-meter sailing vessel worth somewhere in the region of $25 million. And we were navigating along. There was no one else around. A beautiful, bright, sunny day. And I was joined on the bridge by a man in his 70s, the owner of that fine vessel. He started a one-to-one conversation with me that would last upwards of 2 hours. And it started off with him asking me all about my home life, where I was from, and how things were going. And a couple of things struck me. The first one was how intently he listened. How intently he listened and acknowledged everything that I said. The second thing was, hang on a minute. This man is worth nearly $5 billion. This is not what we expect truly wealthy individuals to be like. to be so humble and so down to earth. It was then my turn to listen, and he told me all about his business, from how he started literally from scratch in the 50s, right up to the present day. Truly fascinating stories. It became clear to me over time working for that family, that this man was an expert. He was an expert at making people feel content. But here's the thing. It was the small details, and nothing he did cost a single cent. This was a man who was willing, in the early days, to put contentment first. Contentment of himself, contentment of everyone else around him, safe in the knowledge that the wealth would follow. Now, of course, this is the complete opposite to what many of us do. We chase the money. We chase the money and the prestige and the glamour, which is what I chased, hoping and praying that at some stage it will bring us happiness. So back to contentment. We talked about imagining that, but how do we actually do that? Well, here's the crux of my idea for today. How about we learn to listen? Let's learn to listen to ourselves. Let's learn to listen to those around us effectively. Never underestimate the power of listening, because that is what will bring us all true contentment and true success. Thank you.